P used to try to like, maybe because I was light skinned with good hair, he used to try to like target me. And it broke my heart because I had to call my homeboys one time like, man, you'll never guess who's up here hooping. And I'm talking about Kobe was up there, Paul Pierce was up there, Shaq was up there. It's like, motherfucking Master P is up here hooping right now, but I might have to fight him. God told me to answer this call, and it was cold. And he calls me and tells me it's him. I'm like, quit bullshit. Who is this?
What's up, world? It's your boy Big Court of the Holdin Court Podcast, broadcasting live from California, IA. What's up with your producer, Ken?
Man, I'm excited, bro. We got Sacramento in the house again.
Man, we got a lot of sack on this show,
Hey,
bro.
I wonder why.
We got a lot. Man.
We just had SIBO.
We just had SIBO.
Yeah.
We done had X-rated. God damn, we got all the sack in here, but man.
Nah, but hey, this is someone that, you know, I'm honored to say, you know, we friendly with each other. It's a homeboy, and I'm excited to have him. I'll let you do the intro.
Definitely. Yeah, but for sure, man. I've been watching this brother for many years. You know what I mean? Just kind of excel at many different things. You know, not just the NBA legend, but also a businessman. You know, which we'll get into. You know, he's a father, he's a coach, he's all of that, man. We got the homie, Matt Barnes. What's up with you, bro?
Man, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming, bro. We know you got a busy schedule, man.
Yeah, no, this worked out probably. I mean, I literally just landed.
Yeah.
I had to do the Kings game last night. Yeah. And I told Ken, I'm like, shit, if you right by the airport, I'll just pull up on the way home. So it worked out perfect.
Man, appreciate that. I think you over there by me. You in West Valley? Yeah. I'm in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
That's what's up, bro. Man, I want to get into your story, bro, because you know, I'll be honest with you. I played sports growing up, but I don't watch a lot of sports. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I know about you, you know, just obviously you're a big figure in the media and in sports, but I really dug into your story and man, I got inspired, you know, and we kind of have similar paths in a sense, especially in the formative years. I want to get into your background a little bit. So you grew up in Northern California.
So I was born in San Jose, biracial, black father, Italian mom. Dad was in the streets, and at some point he just knew it was best for us to make a move. So we went from San Jose to Sac, landed there in like 88, 89, and although I'm half Italian, that was the first time I realized ever around white kids. So it was a real culture shock. And you know, as we talked about before we got going, my parents were in the drug game, but I called them kind of functioning drug addicts because we never went without. We were always fed. We were always clothed, bathed, you know, ready for school. But they always wanted to put me in the white schools. So that was my first real taste of racism was when I got to Sacramento in like 88, 89, second, third grade. And it was a shock because I didn't understand like why these kids don't fuck with me. Why won't they let me play basketball or kickball or football or nothing? And, you know, as a child, that it's kind of hard to digest. But, you know, my dad's take was, you know, if they call you nigger, fight them.
Yeah.
And, you know, once my dad kind of gave me the green light to go ahead and do that, I literally fought my way to acceptance.
Yeah.
And then through that, they started allowing me to play sports. And then, you know, I was good at all the sports and kind of gained my acceptance through fighting and sports.
Okay, so this the 80s. So you came up in the crack era, like I did.
Yeah.
Did that ravage your neighborhood as well?
It did, but I don't think I was aware of it as much. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we had it wasn't like the crack you see in the movies, like New Jack City and all that. There wasn't none of that around my area. But my parents had the party house, so every Friday it was. You know, people were over, up all night. You know, I get up early the next morning and try to kill the corner of all the empty, half empty Budweisers and shit, and all that kind of shit. But it wasn't like the extreme, but it was definitely drug use. You know, that if you come up in the 80s, that's just kind of what it was.
Man, that's exactly what it was in my household. I'm an only child, so with my mom and my stepfather. So I grew up, I'm a little bit older than you, but did you find the trays with the residue up under the couch and shit like that?
But they wouldn't even hide it. You know what I mean? Like I would see my parents and friends, their friends do it right in front of us. You know what I mean? I remember that we used to live maybe 3 doors down from a little friend of mine, and both our parents were into it, and him and his sister literally pulled a big old plate of cocaine off the dresser drawer or dresser top, knocked it on the carpet and started eating it.
Oh, shit.
And we're maybe 5 at this time.
Wow.
maybe 6.
Wow.
And both of them kind of just fall down and start foaming out the mouth. So I run from their place to my parents' house and tell them, like, hey, like, I don't know what's going on, but they did something. And luckily, they were rushed to the hospital and okay. But like, it was really, my parents didn't hide it.
Yeah.
So it was there.
Did it? Let me ask you, because I know it had a effect on me, because I kind of grew up in a household with functioning alcoholics mainly, and my mother kind of moonlighted early on with that. Did it make you not want to partake in that shit because of what you saw?
Well, I think you go 2 different routes. I'm the oldest of 3, so we're all 2 years apart. So I just think if you've seen it, some people are enhanced by it and want to try it, but I saw it and was just like, I'm cool.
Me
you know
too,
what I mean?
bro.
So the only thing, like I said, my dad was into that, but then also smoked weed, and my dad was really high strung, so always fighting, always just active. But I knew that, at the end of the day, he'd come home and drink a Budweiser and smoke. He smoked cigarettes a lot, but I remember when he would smoke weed, I'm just like, damn, that smells different. I like that smell,
like the smell
and
of
Pops
weed
is
too.
calm. You know what I mean? So that was really kind of my only, because I didn't know a lot about that. So at 14 was the first time I smoked weed, and I stole it from my dad and got a fucked up headache, but I wasn't no quitter.
Was it that Reggie, that backyard
It was
shit?
probably some bullshit. Yeah, it was probably some bullshit.
Seeds
but
popping and shit.
So I wasn't a quitter. After that, I ended up with some good tree and really been, a cannabis smoker since 94.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, being based on the fact that you did come up in this environment, even though you excelled, did you excel academically as you did sports?
Academics I was behind the 8 ball academically in San Jose, but I didn't know it until I got to Sacramento, because I went from, I came to Sacramento maybe 88, which was 2nd grade. And they put me back in a kindergarten class for a second. And I'm like Billy Madison, big as fuck with all these little kids next to me. But I'm in, and all my friends are doing their shit. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on right now? So, once I came to Sacramento, I got my academics straightened out. And then, after that, I was okay.
So with you having that in the household, and then obviously being in the environment, what kept you from going the other way?
I just love sports. And,
Really?
Back then, like, all I wanted to do was play outside.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But you weren't intrigued by the gangster shit and the bad shit?
I mean, I thought it was dope because I thought my dad was the baddest dude on the planet. Like, he would always fight. I didn't see him do a lot of different shit, but he'd always won. So, I mean, I guess the violent side intrigued me, but the drug side I had, maybe because I just seen it and I just saw the way people acted. I just never had any kind of, I want to do that. If anything, like, I wanted to be able to fight like my dad, but outside of that, I just wanted to play outside all day.
Well, and big ups to his parents too, because Del Campo is a nice part of town. It's like
so we were when people say where you like Fair Oaks. So Fair Oaks was the one. Fair Oaks had one small called Castle Street, and it had Bloods, it had Mexicans, it had white power, and it had white trash. So it was crazy because we were on like somewhat of a melting pot. So I would definitely wouldn't say it was a hood. It was definitely a step up for where we came in San Jose. But it was probably the one part of Fair Oaks that was like, okay, like people are still on drugs and fucked up and everything. But again, they always kind of had the wherewithal to put me into the right schools.
Wow.
So it was, again, and growing up, it was hard because I never got to go to school with the kids in my neighborhood.
Okay.
I always had to go to the other schools. I'm just like, and I hated it. But then, looking back on it now, it was, the plan worked because, I feel comfortable on the corner, and I feel just as comfortable in the White House and in board meetings. So it really taught me how to be kind of a chameleon in my settings.
For sure, man. Shout out to your parents, bro, because even in spite of their struggles, they still was able.
Absolutely. That's
that's
why I called it, functioning. You know what I mean? Because again, if in the 80s, shit, 8 out of 10 times, everybody's parents was doing something.
Hell,
you know what I mean? So
I grew up in the 80s, and my people was getting busy.
So
I grew up in the 80s, and we had that same tray up under the couch.
Yeah, come on, man.
I used to play in the residue.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Come on, man.
Did your parents have the roach things with the feathers on it?
Yeah. The roach clips.
Yeah, we showing our age with that.
Everything. The roach clips.
As soon as you said tray under the couch, I said, "Oh, he old as fuck."
And I remember, it was cool because now that I do smoke, it's just like I used to be like, why are they doing that? But obviously, it's I guess they were smoking roaches. But now your hands always stink when you smoke just straight off it. So I'm thinking like, okay, that's why they was on the roaches back then. The roach clips.
So you being biracial, I asked Busy Bone this. He's a friend of the show, his partner of mine.
He biracial?
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I
his
didn't know
mom
that.
is
Okay.
Italian.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe. Rest in peace to his mom, but and his dad's black. Did you ever feel this pressure, being that you're not enough of this,
Yeah,
not enough of
man.
that, and you're in the middle? Like,
Man.
what was that fight?
Biracial is a cold game that no one really talks about because,
Right.
I mean, it's really
Right.
common now. I mean, we're a melting pot now, but in the 80s, first of all, my dad told me he was always fighting because the white men didn't like him with my mom. So
Right.
my dad was scrapping every time he went out from that kind of standpoint. But like you said, I think you said it perfect. When you're biracial, you're not white enough and you're not black enough. So I was literally fighting my AAU teammates, which was black, because they would call me white boy, and then the white people would call me nigga. So it was just a constant fight to acceptance. And I was always still am very proud of being biracial, but I realized at 17, my senior year of high school, I was at Del Campo in Sacramento, and I was about 2 or 3 months away from going to UCLA. And my little sister was a sophomore at the time, and there was this kid that kept kind of fucking with her. And, I tell the principal, do this. And she did that and nothing happened. And he kept calling, then he started calling her a nigger and fucking with her and embarrassing her in front of her friends. So one day, he called her a nigger, and she came and found me because we had a block period, so I was out early. She came and found me right before I was about to leave, and he was spitting her hair and called her a nigger, and her and her little girlfriend's right there, and I just happened to see this kid walk by, so I just, I did what a big brother's supposed to do. Beat the brakes off his monkey ass, and got taken to the office. But, when we tried to tell our story to administration, they're like, no, that's, he's not raised like that. His dad's a prominent lawyer in this city, and so I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm about three months away from going to UCLA and fulfilling my dreams. You think I'm just out here on some bully shit?
Right.
So, long story short, I get suspended for a whole week. And during my suspension, the KKK comes up to my high school and vandalizes my high school from head to toe, burned down a bathroom, hung a mannequin from a noose in the oak tree in front with my football jersey on it with die
shit.
nigger swastikas everywhere. And then from there, they put a green light on me.
Yeah.
So, we had to move to another city and had 24-hour security for about 2 or 3 weeks. And
that's
everything,
deep.
everything kind of died down after that. But that's when I realized, like, damn, they don't look at me as biracial. They don't look at me like they look at me as a black man. And that's when I it kind of sunk in again. I kind of went back to my 3rd grade, like, damn, they didn't fuck with me then, and now I'm almost up out of here, and this shit happens again. It's just like, okay, the shit is strong, and it's still alive out here. But it just kind of was what it was.
Damn,
But to emphasize his point, though, the biracial is really the systemic racism in this country that people don't. They keep trying to shove it off and not acknowledge it. My kids are biracial, but I'm the inverse of you.
Right.
I'm white. She's not, right? But my kids came out white. They don't deal with it at all. So it's clearly a racism thing because you're not white.
And I got it. I mean, luckily and I was happy. Obviously, I'm black and Italian. My ex-wife is Mexican and black, but my twins, you can't tell what they are. You know what I mean? And then my youngest son, who's 3, his mom is full black, but you still can't really tell what he is. But he's a little darker than the twins are. So the twins, luckily, haven't faced it at all. And they're in 8th grade. So, obviously, I'm happy about that because, like I said earlier, I think we're more of it. Biracial is more the norm now than it was back then. But
absolutely,
I would hate for my kids to have to go through that because, like I said, at 8 or 9 years old, like tripping, like crying, walking home, like, damn, why don't these kids fuck with me? Just because the color of my skin. And that's like crazy. My mom would hug me, but my dad's like, nah, fuck that. Handle it. I was like, okay.
But let me ask you, I mean, to make light of it though, right? It had to be an upside to it because in the 80s, light-skinned niggas was always in. You know what I'm saying? So thanks to Al B. Shore, you know what I'm saying? And
actually,
Williams.
sending love out to Al B because I know he just had some major work done.
Yeah, for sure.
Some surgery done, and we was talking on IG. So praying for Al for sure. But I ain't never really been out of style, to keep it real with you, except
well, y'all was more in style in the 80s, though. Y'all back in?
I mean, I've always kind of been in, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So,
hey, also on some Sacramento shit. I'm a North Sac dude, born and raised, and I'm class of '99. He's class of '98. We knew when that shit happened. We all heard about it.
It was big. I mean, NAACP came and made national headlines. It was a real life hate crime, and the thing that pissed me off was, I did so much for that school, put him
Yeah.
back on the map.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Won
Yeah.
stuff and
Oh, he was
and,
balling.
you know what I mean? And the fact that they turned their back on me and didn't believe me was the one reason why I never donated. No money.
Yeah.
Never went back and really fucked with them. Luckily, my high school football coach hung around for a long time and finally talked me into like, hey, you know, all that old administration is gone. Like they want to retire your jerseys and I finally allowed him to retire my football and my basketball jersey. But it took me a long time because that shit hurt me. You know what I mean? Like outside of that, my high school experience was great. But the one time that I felt like I really needed them, they turned their back on me and acted like it was like I caused what happened.
Right.
We were in North Sac saying, man, Foothill, Highlands, and Grant.
We would
have put the green light on them. We would have been like, nah, that shit ain't.
I'm curious. When did you get your growth spurt?
Oh man, I want to say maybe 8th grade to 9th grade. I went from like 5 that summer. I went from like 5'10" to 6'4".
Okay, damn.
And then for the freshman year, I was about 6'4", and then you know I was probably by the time my junior year hit, I got all the way to 6'8".
Damn. Did you get the growing pains?
Yeah, Oscar Slaughter.
Oscar Slaughter.
Oh, they don't call it that no more.
You the first one that knows what that is. When I tell people Oscar Slaughter, they
I still got the bumps on my knees.
I do
that
too.
shit I rubbed. As soon as you said I rubbed that shit. It's fucked up. That shit was horrible.
Bruh,
I'm 5'10", I ain't got it.
Painful.
Yeah,
I had
it's
them
the
too.
worst.
Man, I had them
worst.
in 8th grade, I think 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And the shit is so tender to the touch.
Oh, people don't understand. That shit's like getting kicked in the nuts. Maybe even worse. That shit, like if you hit that on anything or bump it or just walking too much, that shit
Bro,
was
you
real
just made my day.
painful.
You the only other person that knows Oscar Slaughter. When I would tell, because I mean,
I don't
only
think they
6'3".
call it no more.
Yeah,
I don't even think they call it that no more. But that shit was a problem.
Oh shit! Hey, we brothers in Oscar Slaughter, bro. For real.
I stayed at 5'10", so I'm out there.
About them problems.
Bad. So man, you going from high school, you transitioned. So did you go to UCLA on a scholarship?
Yeah. I had a full ride. So I started getting recruited by. So by the time I was done, I was an All-American in football and basketball. I was the #1 receiver, led the nation in touchdowns. So I was the #1 receiver coming out All-American, and then I was a top 10 basketball player in the country. And you know, I played year-round sports. I played football, baseball, basketball, track. So I started getting recruited by everybody, but it just really wasn't. I don't think I really made a big deal about it so much that I didn't take no recruiting trips.
Wow.
I remember we played AAU in LA for the first time when I was like 15. And we went up to UCLA and walked around. Then we went to the beach and I saw women and palm trees and sand. I'm just like, fuck, I'm gonna go here. Yeah. So I mean, I committed to UCLA without even really taking an official trip and didn't look at no other schools and never really looked back, to be honest.
Shout out to UCLA. My son is at UCLA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a Bruin. You know what I mean?
Hold on. But we a music podcast. There's a very important part we talked about.
Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there.
Before, because there's still much Matt's story, but he signed in '95 to No Limit.
Yeah,
we in Sac.
Come on, man, No Limit. You kidding me?
So what was you listening to in them '90s? What was pumping you up for the high school games?
What was the double album? TRU.
Yeah.
TRU, SIBO, Brother Lynch.
Come on, man. What you know about Brother Lynch, bro?
Man, who else was it? Spice
Brother Lynch
One,
had a Pharaoh
Pac.
Yeah.
So I was someone like, you know, I didn't have no money for CDs, none. So we listened to what was on the radio, and then some of my white homies started buying these CDs, and one of my little white homies put me on to Master P, and it was crazy. So funny story. So when I got to UCLA, I didn't know P was a hooper.
Yeah.
And P used to try to like, maybe because I was light skinned with good hair, he used to try to like target me. And it broke my heart because I had to call my homeboys one time like, man, you'll never guess who's up here hooping. And I'm talking about Kobe was up there, Paul Pierce was up there, Shaq was up there. Yeah. It's like, motherfucking Master P is up here hooping right now, but I might have to fight him. Because he kept trying to punk me, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he kept trying to come at me and I just wasn't backing down. So that's when I met P. I don't even know if he remembers, but I was coming into my freshman year at UCLA. And like I said, the whole NBA, because that's back when UCLA was a spot in the summer to play pickup games. Yep. And when I tell you the whole NBA was in there, but I was like, man, motherfucking Master P is in here hooping. But then he tried to like, I'm going to get that light-skinned motherfucker right there.
He did me the same way. So when I first got to No Limit in 95, we actually had our first fight.
Oh, really?
Over basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, he was doing that New Orleans shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Elbowing me, pushing me, all of that shit. That's how they play.
Yeah. But I remember he tried to single me out because he thought I was soft. And I called all my homeboys back at home like, yo, P is up here, but I might have to fight this motherfucker.
Yeah, he got a reputation for playing like that.
Yeah.
So what was your early exposure to hip hop?
Man, just from, Michael Jackson at an early age to... once I really kind of started appreciating music, it was just the whole NWA, then that was obviously kind of really my introduction to it. But then
Yeah.
it was Snoop, and
Oh.
then it was Pac, and it was, you know, that kind of Easy E. It was
Yeah.
that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's, remember the box back in the channel
Hell
23
yeah.
back in the
Hell
day.
yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
besides if it wasn't on the radio, I would hear it on the box.
Yeah.
And that was really kind of like my intro.
Did you ever have aspirations to rap?
No, hell no. Never.
You knew better.
No, I loved music too much to put myself in, you know, to disrespect music like that. And I wish more athletes really thought about that before they go across.
So
and
what you think about
disrespect
Shaq as a rapper?
You know, some people can get it off. I mean, Shaq was able to put some bars together. You know, it wasn't, and Shaq is the big homie, but it wasn't necessarily something I listened to. You know what I mean? Like I said, I like that street shit. Like I loved Pac and I love Snoop and I love Cube and I love them, that kind of music. So it wasn't necessarily, I mean, some athletes have been able to get it off, but they're not necessarily my taste for
I got
rap
you.
music.
All right, so he might. We might have to just edit this part out. So I'm gonna say it and then we'll cut it out if he say no. So at the time when you was at Del Campo, I'm in Sac in high school, but I was working at the studio. So what'd you know about that hollow tip?
Yeah.
That we was producing all that.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I'm behind some of them. My big brother H-Wood, we did hollow tips albums.
Okay.
Young Rider, Gangsta Dre.
Yeah. What about what's her name?
Now
the
we
female.
talking.
Female. Was it Mia?
Marvelous?
Marvelous. And
Marvelous.
who was it? Mia or what else was it? There was one more too, wasn't there? Female.
Sac? I only know.
Man, I don't know. She might be in the Bay.
Sugar T.
Sugar T.
There you go.
Sugar T.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he was up on that North Sac shit. Was what it was. J Mac, Hollow Tip. We were doing all them albums.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, back
and then remember back in the day, remember Ebro was out there. Ebro was doing the shit. Ebro got his start in Sac, and now obviously he's at the top of the level over at Apple Music. But yeah, there was definitely a scene in Northern California from the Bay to Sac with rap music.
Mr. Doc.
What did you major in at UCLA?
I wanted to do communications, but once after my sophomore year, and I was meeting with my counselor, just like, you got most of your GEs done, but you're heading in the direction of history. I didn't give a fuck about no history, but that's what I was closest to graduating in, so that's what I went with.
Wow, and you actually got your bachelor's from UCLA?
No, so I didn't. So I'm like, and I've been telling myself I'm gonna go back. So I'm only like 36 credits away from getting my degree. So I told him I'm gonna pull a Van Wilder. If my twins end up going to UCLA, I'm gonna go back to school and get a little apartment in Westwood and get my degree. But
so you didn't get you missed the degree getting drafted.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So I did, and to me, like, they used to say the degree is so important, but today I don't think it is. To be honest with you, it's
not. I
I
think education is a good thing. No one can take it from you, and
it's a talking point.
It's a talking point
more than anything.
And I think that going to college, because I'm not formally college educated, but it teaches you how to think. It shows that you follow through. It shows a level of commitment. But it doesn't always equate to success.
I think, especially how expensive school is. You put that into a business, I would be just as comfortable if my boys said, like, if they weren't athletes and knock on wood, they get scholarships like that. I don't want to go, can we invest in this? I'd be like, let's do it.
Yeah. So you wouldn't push for your kids, like, go to college?
No.
It's more. Okay.
No. Because
I agree with that.
Yeah, my boys are 13, or excuse me, they just turned 14 this past weekend. But we got their podcast, and I'm teaching them the business side of shit right now. So like, my whole thing is just, I want you to be educated on shit that is gonna get you paid, or a craft, so to speak. So I'm not all for
for sure.
They'll probably go to college because they're athletes, and that's the route that most athletes need to take. But if they were just regular grinders, I definitely wouldn't push college.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, man, don't be a paper chaser, be a purpose chaser. Because once you figure out what it is you love.
Well, you remember the old Kanye was talking about, my dad's got all these degrees and that's all he left me. Like, that's real shit. Like, what are these degrees really? Like, in today's day and age, I feel like this next generation is going to be, there's going to be a lot of self-made millionaires because they grew up with technology.
Exactly.
So like the actual paper college degree, I don't think it means much.
I agree with you. And I know my wife gonna see this and be like, what the fuck? Because she getting her master's right now.
That's shout out. Obviously, like I said, it's like you said, it teaches you the dedication and the discipline to go ahead and follow through and finish with it. But me playing 15 years in the league and then, kind of grinding after, it was just like my degree, as far if I had a degree or not.
Right. And going to that 15 years, bro. So even though you get drafted out of college, man, your walk was not easy.
Nah, it wasn't that. It wasn't easy. I got
you
cut.
Went to the D League, all of that shit.
D League, and then I played in the ABA or ABA, where I played with Dennis Rodman for like 2 weeks. And then I got called up to the Clippers. And then from there, it was, I had a nice run, but even my first 4 years, I really didn't get a chance to play, and I was debating, contemplating on, I had my agent at the time and had lined up private workouts with NFL teams. So I was thinking about like, shit, I gave myself this one last year in the summer of 2006 that if I don't make a team this year, I'm going to try to play football. And, luckily I made that Golden State Warriors team in 2006, 2007, and we made NBA history. And after that, I was kind of a fixture in the league, but it was a tough start, for me to get going. But luckily I was able to hang in there.
Man, I was really inspired looking at that, bro, because, you really had to get it out the mud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and people say, I bounced around and played for a handful of teams, but if you think about it, I mean, the average NBA career is 2.5, 3 years. I played 15.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you can say what you want, but, once you get past a certain number of years, like, motherfucker,
it is
what
it is. Yeah. What was it like playing with D-Rod?
With who?
Dennis Rodman.
So I played maybe one game with Rodman, and I think he was he was trying to make an NBA comeback. He had gotten in a motorcycle accident. So he had like a whole little entourage that would come to practice. And I want to say I played like one game with him, and he didn't really have nothing left in the tank, unfortunately. Really? And then I was really only there for 2 weeks from the time he came, from the time I got called up to the league. So it wasn't really, I wanted to I wanted to kick it with him and go get into some trouble, but it just, the NBA came calling, so I had to bounce.
How do you feel about you being compared to him, the comparisons in terms of how y'all attack the game?
I mean, that's an honor. I mean, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? And he carved out a niche for himself, but also carved out a niche for guys after him. That, I was someone who could score the ball, and do a lot of different things. But once I got to the NBA, it's just like, hey, that's not what was needed from me. So, I just had to kind of find my role and understand what my role was. And once I found my role, whatever team I was on, I was either starting or the first guy coming off the bench. You know what I mean? So I just think it was important for me to kind of understand that. And obviously Dennis Rodman kind of paved the way, because everyone thinks, to get I got to score 30 to get to the league or this and that. And there's a handful of guys in the league. Now it's more, but there's a handful of guys that can score like that.
Right.
But there's also a handful of roles that need to be filled where you could be a star in that role. So, I found out what my role was, what was needed or asked of me, and just went out there and executed it.
So do you think that the bad boy tag and image that you have gotten, do you think that's earned?
I think it's misunderstood, because I came into the league when, social media wasn't, when I first came in the league, there was no social media. And then maybe towards halfway through my career, social media started becoming something. And then by the time the end of my career, it was full-fledged. So I just, people see you for 2 hours on TV. And if I happen to, dust it up or cuss a ref out or swing on somebody, that's the image they have of me. This guy's a thug. He's got tattoos. He's this, and that. So it's just the image. So, I mean, I always say, reputation is earned, whether good or bad. So I did what I had to do to make it in the league, but basketball was my job. It wasn't who I was. It didn't define me. I think too often people let what they do define them. And that was just something that, that was a dream of mine, and I got paid well, and I was living my dream, but it definitely wasn't who I was. But then I will credit social media after my career to kind of just be able to show people who I am, because when I first got out the league and started maneuvering in business, people were like, it was dope when I would see people be like, oh shit, like he's not this crazy motherfucker with tattoos, and he knows what he's talking about. He's educated and he gets it. And that used to be my biggest thing that I really used to take pride in, was kind of like showing people who I really was when they had such a different, understanding of who they thought I was.
Yeah. Now that's interesting that you say that, because I tell people that all the time, because I worked in entertainment for so long. People assume like we just did the No Limit reunion tour, and I've always been in music or some form of entertainment. People think that, like my life is an orgy or some big ass, rap video. And I used to say the same thing.
It did that. I mean, it was for time. We got, we had that.
Well, mine never been.
No, but it's just like they stick that label on you because you're in a certain. And they normally do that that's what they do to us, period.
But that's funny, because I said the same thing that you, almost verbatim. I don't live what I do. It's just what I do for a living. I go home to my family. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess it's just the ignorance of the stereotype.
It is, but I think more, now more, there's more of an understanding. But some people take pride in that stigma.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And try to,
and some people
live
do
up
live
to the
that
stigma.
shit.
Try to live up to that stigma. But like I said, I mean, I was blessed to play, but it wasn't basketball. It wasn't who I was. It was just what I did.
Right. So I know you were, kind of going in between teams trying to find your footing. So now you're thinking about going to Miami, but you get the call from Kobe.
Yeah, that was and it was crazy because I talked about this on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and when they edited the video, they said I turned down LeBron to go, and I'm just like, nah, shit wasn't even like that. So what happened was, I was in Orlando, and that was the ball fake year with Kobe. And I met Kobe at UCLA because when Kobe first came to the Lakers in '96, I got to UCLA in '98, but Kobe was kind of an outcast, and it's well documented that Shaq kind of was doing whatever he was doing, and kind of so Kobe was on our campus all the time, chilling, eating, working out, playing. So I got a chance to meet Kobe from that standpoint. So I was always kind of a huge fan of like, yo, this motherfucker's gonna be cold. I can see it, I know it. So we'd always just kind of had a mutual respect, but just I took pride every time I had to go up against them. So that ball fake year in Orlando, we end up losing in the Eastern Conference Finals to Boston. Boston gets beat by the Lakers. And then they start acting funny. I hear I'm supposed to get a certain amount of money, and then they end up deciding to give it to someone else. And they didn't think that I was going to be happy with the amount of money they were. So this is all the bullshit that I was going through, just the politics of it. So I'll tell my girls, like, I don't know if I'm going to resign here. So Pat Riley somehow gets my number, and he and I kind of start going back and forth, and he's telling me like they're going to build something big over here. And, D Wade hopped on one call, and they kind of told me what was cooking. I'm just like, shit, I'm in Orlando. This is just right up the freeway. So this is no brainer. So I'm in, I didn't say I was in. I'm just, they kept just kind of telling me, and they were telling me what the crunch time lineups would be D Wade, Bron, Bosh, Mike Miller, and me. And so they were kind of really selling me on it. And then I got a phone call from a number that I didn't have saved, and people who know me is I don't even answer the phone if I see your name on. I'm just not I don't like talking on the phone, but for some reason God told me to answer this call, and it was Kobe, and he calls me and tells me it's him. I'm like, quit bullshitting, who is this? He's like, nah, it's me. So we kind of start going back and forth, and he asked me what I'm doing. I'm told I'm talking to Miami, and just like anyone crazy enough to fuck with me is crazy enough to play with me. Do you want to be a Laker? And I'm like, hell yeah, because I grew up in the 80s with Showtime. Magic was my favorite player.
Mine
so it
too.
was always a dream to be a Laker.
Yep.
So that quickly it went from, me having, we were going to go up the freeway to Miami to me getting to come back to Cali and being a Laker. So from that, it was probably 4 days after he asked me if I wanted to be a Laker from the time he asked me to when I signed.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I seen some videos of Kobe in practice, and Kobe was a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? What was it like playing with him? Did he really like push you? Like,
I loved it. The Kobe, if he saw a pussy, he wasn't having it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and
if he saw a dog, he wouldn't. Me and Kobe never had no issues, to be honest with you. Like, I think that one time where people only see the ball fake, but if you go back and watch that game, that motherfucker was grabbing me, holding me, elbowing me, and I was about to fight him. Like I said, fuck basketball. Like, we about to scrap. So
he was playing the psychological game with
and
you.
then he was a monster with that. Yeah. And once he kind of knew that I was about that shit, he and I that's what made us become so close on Tyler's team. Like I said, we always had a mutual respect, and I wouldn't even call us friends before then, because it was just, if I was seeing we play, and there would be respect. But once he got me to the Lakers and kind of brought me in, we went from teammates to brothers to like family quick. Like I was the one, everyone always said like, damn, how the fuck you get Kobe to go out? Or how you get Kobe to do this? How you get Kobe because he just fucked with me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He would, Steven Jackson tells a story one time where, I had a routine, like whatever city I landed, I'd go to my room, smoke, and then find out what's popping in that city. So Cole would hit me up, MB, what you doing? I was like, I'm about to go borrow one. He's like, what's up? He's like, you trying to get out tonight? I'm like, Cole, we in Milwaukee. He's like, so I don't give a fuck. I was like, all right, well, let me hit. And Stack Jack was on that in the Milwaukee team. So I hit Jack, and I brought Cole, and I told Jack, I was like, I think Cole comes. He's like, yeah, right. So sure enough, me and Cole walked up in that bitch, and we actually had a good time in Milwaukee. But we just bonded from there because, like I said, it was he was one of those superstars that he didn't have to say much because he led by example. Like, motherfucker played through every injury he could, would run through a wall, would do whatever it took. So, like, to me, it's just like, how the fuck can anyone else on the team not play that way?
Real shit.
And I already played that way. So it's just like we hit it off instantly and really became more than teammates.
That's dope. Let me ask you, because when you did that ball fake, and that nigga ain't flinch.
Yeah, at all.
He didn't wince. He didn't do anything. You had to know. Psychologically, what did that do to you?
It didn't do nothing at the time because I didn't really realize how close it was. I still wanted to fight. I didn't give a fuck if he didn't flinch or not. Like, I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just knew. But I knew Kobe was the same way.
Yeah.
Kobe was the same way. So it didn't really be like, oh shit, he didn't blink. Let me calm down.
Well, not in terms of the physical fight,
yeah,
but
just
in terms
the
of the basketball.
Just the mental. Like, this dude is he's
yeah.
and I always tell people, I mean, he to me is the most. I missed MJ, but even people who played with MJ and Kobe, to me, the Kobe is the most skilled player we've ever seen in this game. So he already had that side. He was a killer. But then the mental side is what gave him that edge, because it was just like he would bait. Like, you know, he went and got Ron Artest the year before he got me. So he's like, I'm tired of dealing with these crazy motherfuckers. I need both them on my team. So it would be crazy when, you know, when you think about it with me, Kobe, and Ron out there on the wings defending people, and let our guy get maybe 2 buckets in a row. Kobe's like, no, I got him. Fuck it, I got him. I mean, me and Ron would have to fight this motherfucker. Like, nah, Kobe, we got him. Like, you do what you do. We got the defense side. You handle, you handle the offense. So, but that's what kind of competitor he was. He just always... He was always on.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up his unfortunate passing. I mean, that's like losing a brother. How profound was that effect on you?
What has it been, 3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I get chills, you know, the fact that you even brought it up. Because like I said, it was, you know, past our playing shit. Like, when I came to that team, he was instantly took my twins. My twins were maybe 3. And right from the jump, was always hugging them, hanging out, like, giving them every single time shoes came out. There'd always be shoes on the front porch for the twins. So it just became so much more than basketball. And then fast forward to both of us retiring, he lived out in Orange County. So that's where all the AU tournaments are at. So we would talk before tournaments, like, yo, what time G playing? What time are the twins playing? And there'd be times where, you know, Gigi wouldn't play till 11, but we'd play at 9, and Kobe would come 2 hours early and watch the twins play. And I'm saying the twins are like 6 or 7 at this time. Like, that kind of basketball is bullshit. You know what I mean? But he went out of his way to come and watch the boys. And then as soon as we were done, we would go watch Gigi. So we really bonded, like I said, on another level. So when I found out what happened, and found out they were trying to get to a tournament, you know what I mean? And it's just like, fuck, like, you don't expect superheroes to die. You know what I mean? Right. Superheroes are supposed to live long lives and continue to bless the world. And Kobe was one of those guys that took this same energy he had in the game to business. I mean, this guy was winning Oscars and you know, running multi-million-dollar funds, and just had such a game plan laid out for the next 20. And I remember we were fortunate enough to do his last interview, but before we were on camera, we were back in his office, and he was adamant about, like, you know, I'm not trying to be defined by my last 20 years. I'm like, nigga, you're Kobe. What are you talking about?
Right.
He's like, nah, like, this next 20 years, like, watch. Like, he was still that competitive that he wanted to show people, like, yeah, I was dope at this, but my mind is even better in business, and I'm gonna kill business. And he was like really adamant about that. And I just thought that was so dope. So
is that what inspired you to?
I mean, I was already on the track, but anytime you see greatness like that, obviously it's gonna motivate you. And then, you know, I've known his sister Shea since UCLA. And Joe and Pam is his parents, and then, you know, getting to know Vanessa over the years and the rest of the family, it was just such a hard thing to witness. But then obviously knowing the family, I couldn't imagine. Like I said, it hurt, and it hurt the world, but it hurt me because I was close, but I couldn't imagine how much it hurt the actual family and how strong everyone's had to be. And, you know, for Vanessa to not only lose her husband, but to lose her daughter, and then, you know, to Pam and Joe to lose their son and granddaughter, and Shea to lose her brother and niece. It's just like, shit is tough.
Yeah. Rest in peace to Kobe, man.
But and G and everybody else on that helicopter.
For sure. And, you know, and even speaking of loss, so, I mean, even while you're excelling in the NBA and you're building your career, you lose your mother. Yeah. Which I can... you know, identify with that because my mother passed in 2010.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. So you know, what was interesting was I kind of lost. I came in the league in 2002 and didn't really find my footing until 2006. So the one thing I will say is the one year I pretty much got on was the last year of my mom's life. Little did I know. So she was, you know, her and my dad would drive up to every home game from SAC. My mom was like the team mom. She'd be in the little bar downstairs at Oracle after taking shots with us. My dad would be smoking weed with the rest of the niggas in Oracle. So it was just like they really kind of got to see, you know, me finally make it. And, it was unfortunate because I finally started getting, I got my first, $4 million deal after that season. And all I wanted to do was, okay, shit, I'm buy my mom out. You want to buy your mom a house. That's what everyone wants to do. And she ends up dying the very beginning of the next season. She was diagnosed with cancer November 1st of the 2007 season, and dies November 27th. So within 26 days, she's gone. And it was just like, fuck. Like it happened that fast. And it was tough because, like I said, my upbringing was tough. And I wanted to be able to give that back to my mom. Because although, I like the way you said moonlighted, because she wasn't as heavy in the shit as my dad was, but she was obviously guilty by association.
Right.
She would do it, but she was the one that was always got us to practice, always helped us with the homework, always cooking, she was a super mom. And, obviously that was going to be my way to pay her back as mom. I love you. I appreciate you. Unless, I'm going to get you this house. But, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to do that.
Yeah. Damn. Sorry to hear that. Actually, I got a chance to buy my mom a house before she passed.
I can imagine.
I always wondered though, right? Because my shit was a little bit different. You kind of got a chance to, I guess, walk your mother to the finish line. I always wish I could do that because my mother was like here one day, gone the next. You know what I mean? It just out the clear blue, So do you think that it never, is easy, but were you thankful that even though you saw her declining, were you thankful that you could walk her to, it wasn't?
Yeah, well, I was literally just talking, like someone was talking about they lost someone to cancer, and over a year, like it was 13 months and they were gone. But I was thinking like, I don't want to see it, because luckily my mom didn't get get super frail and do all like I didn't have to see all that. Like it attacked so fast. They tried to put her in hit her up with all this medicine, and I got to spend, shout out to the Warriors, because I was literally driving to Sac every single day, hour and a half, after practice, after game. Sometimes they would let me miss practice, and just got to spend a lot of time with her and talk with her up until she went into, her coma and passed. But people always ask, do you wish you had more time? But I don't, because I know how much pain she was in. And I knew that, she was telling me she was tired, and it wasn't tired to go to sleep. It was tired of like, I'm ready to go type tired. So it was just like, I knew once she was gone, she wasn't in pain anymore. And that was important to me. And then just knowing, once she was gone, although she was gone in the physical, spiritually, she was always going to be with us. No, that's a good way to look at it. And I don't want to keep, I don't want to perseverate on that, but I'm just curious, how did that affect you as a son? Because I know how it affected me, but how did it affect you as a son? It was tough because, she was the rock. And then, when she died, I became the rock. But at the same, so, my sister, my brother, even my dad went into a drinking slumber, and I played the next day after she died. You know what I mean? So I had to be the rock for my family, and didn't really know how to grieve or how to show grief. You know what I mean? Because as men and as Black men, we don't
taught to suppress that.
We don't show weakness. You compartmentalize it and you keep moving. And still to this day, it's weird that I've never really cried about my mom's death. Although it hurts my heart, and it's what's today? So in 17 days, it'll be the 15-year anniversary, of my mom passing. And it's just like, it hurts. And I tell people who lose someone, it's just like, you never really get over the pain. You just learn how to manage it.
You learn how to manage it
over the years.
Absolutely.
So,
because there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my mother.
Well, and especially with me too, because my mom, my mom was someone who was a stay-at-home mom. Until I kept getting in so many fights at elementary school that she used to have to come up there on our recesses and on our little breaks. So from there, she used to come be they used to call it a yard duty, but from yard duty, and she started working with kids, and then she started working with special ed kids. And by the time she, 5, 6, 7 years into it, she started being a teacher. You know what I mean? So she was someone who loved kids, and she had a fondness for special ed kids. And I remember I'd go, in my off season, come back in her class, and that shit was wild. I'm like, Mom, how do you do? She's like, I love them.
Wow.
I love them, So, they say in death brings life. And literally my twins came a year after my mom died. So it just hurts that my mom never got a chance to meet, my sons. That's the one thing I wish that,
Me too.
she could have met my sons, because it would have been, she would have loved it.
That's a tough one, man. My mom had me at 15. And my grandmother was super involved, obviously, because my mom was so young. And this man kind of helped me through and gave me a lot, because he had lost his mom right before. But my kids were born when my grandmother got sick, and she she got sick young, 70. She wasn't supposed to be gone yet, but she got sick and was gone.
Yeah.
And she never got to meet my kids. So that shit pulls on heartstrings.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
scary to me though too, because like shit, I'll be 43 in March. My mom died at 40, just turned 50.
My mother died at 56.
Yeah, so it's just like it's
damn
to think like that shit is
and then it kind of fucks with me sometime too. I don't know if you think like this as well. When you think about genetics and you think about, especially on my mom's side, a lot of them didn't live out of their 50s. You know, I'm 46.
Yeah.
So I'm looking like, oh shit, I could possibly have 10, 12 years still in this bitch.
It's my dad never met his dad until my dad was 36. And then his dad died 6 months later. So I'm guessing he was probably in his mid 50s. My dad's mom died in her late 60s. But then on the Italian side, my mom's dad died at 93, and my mom's mom is still kicking on the farm by herself at 96.
Oh shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got the
you
genetics
got the
could be scary, but I think hopefully the motherfuckers will balance out and get me into my 80s.
I kind of got the same thing on my dad too. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, so but like you said, it is
love
scary.
stories about this man's dad.
You know, it is scary, and it makes me, you got to get your checkups. You got to get I'm not looking forward to my colonoscopy or whatever the fuck that shit is called.
Have you had a prostate exam yet?
I need to.
I did that.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah,
it was fucked up. It was I got a little Asian doctor, you know what I mean? And she was like,
at what age did you do it?
40, I think it was like 44 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago.
I think I might do it, when I'll be 43 in March. So
my dad's dad died because he didn't get it done. He died at 50 something.
Yeah.
Before I was born.
But
yeah, man. That's things that like
I be telling my homeboys that like, I know it's weird, but it's like, man, we grown. It's life. You know what I mean?
I mean, health is wealth. You know what I mean? You talk about, you can't do nothing if you're not healthy. So
exactly.
It's definitely important.
You can't help them kids if you ain't.
Yeah, you can have all the money in the world, but if you sick, wasn't
Bill Gates? Was it Bill who passed?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs talking about I got all this money in the world and it can't help me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's that shit hits deep for real.
That's deep. So while you playing with the Lakers, bro, you have the emergence of reality TV.
Ooh. Man.
Reality TV. What possessed you? What you know what I'm saying, to get involved with
Shaq's
that shit?
fault. Motherfucker Shaq's fault. So
Come on, Shaq. Why are you giving people the bad information?
So that shit started that first year I left Golden State. So I'm with my girl. We get pregnant early. The twins come. We're in a new city, so we're in Phoenix. And Shaq is out there. And, the babies are babies, brand new. And my ex-wife starts telling me like, Shawnee, Shaq's wife at the time, she wants to start this show about women that run the house and, run foundations and kind of stepping outside of their man's shadow. I'm like, that's dope. Dope. She's like, well, I want to do it. I'm like, why? What you mean? Like, what is like this? The only reality TV at the time we knew was Flavor of Love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
So I'm just
right.
You want that? Nah. So literally we fought for a couple months, and she was dead set on wanting to do it, and I was straight nose, and then Shaq one day, actually it was a couple times, and then finally one time it's just like, come on, man, it's gonna be this and gonna be that, and it's good for us. Get him out of our hair, give him something to do, and stop fucking with us. So I was like, all right. So we do the next season is Basketball Wise Miami, and I'm in Orlando. And the first season of that shit is when Tiger Woods got popped doing all the shit he was doing. But Tiger was courtside at all our games.
Wow.
So I'm saying, and I'm a golf. I'm starting to take golf right there. So I'm a huge being able to say what's up to Tiger, and then kind of slowly hearing that Tiger got some nigga, and I'm like, Tiger's doing what? Who? Like just hearing all this shit about Tiger, I would have never expected it because he was just so straight laced, cut, stiff.
Yeah.
Never expected it, but we had the first dinner we had at like the first time we filmed together. Like these ladies came from Miami to our home in Orlando and had a dinner, and these girls are at the dinner table on camera talking about, yeah, we know Tiger, but like, what do you guys do on the road, and what do you and your teammates do? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Tiger
is
to make
this?
a spot
right,
out.
like what the fuck is this? So I'm just immediately. So that was my first, and then I wouldn't say my last. I think I made 2 more appearances on the show after that, but I just knew. Yeah, this ain't it for me. You know what I mean? So I wanted to give my ex an opportunity just to kind of step out of her shadow. In the show they pitched was obviously night and day from what it ended up being, and I just think it's such a bitch. I think it's just such a terrible, portrayal of quote unquote, whether they're wives or girlfriends, but fighting and screaming and throwing drinks and what's crazy is a lot of these people don't know. Now these women know each other because there's some that have been on the show for a long time, but a lot of these women really didn't know each other. So they would be creating these fake storylines and all this drama that was created by the producers. It wasn't necessarily the dramas created by the women, because the women didn't really know each other at the time. So it was just all and it's crazy because I remember during that time, like these women really thought this shit was real life or death, and would we're trying to take sides and this. I'm like, these women don't even fucking know each other, you dumb motherfuckers. What are you talking about? But it caught on, and it, if I'm not mistaken, it's still on.
It is.
It's still on. So it's just like it was a crazy introduction to that world, but at the same time, it was also, I wouldn't say a gift, but it just opened me up to a new audience too. You know what I mean? So it opened me up to a whole new side of people that necessarily may not be sports fans or are sports fans, and kind of made the correlation between the two. So it wasn't completely a negative experience. It was an experience that, obviously you learn from, but again, it opened me up to a whole new side of, whether fans or haters, they're still, saying my name. So it's just like, it wasn't necessarily all negative.
How difficult is that, bro, to deal with very personal issues in the public? You know what I mean? Because you got to be a strong motherfucker.
Well, so I mean, I'm accustomed to it now, and I gave that privacy right away when I allowed them to come into my home. Because at first I'd be like, man, how are they saying this about us? But then I'm thinking like, nah, nigga, you allowed them to do it. You open up your doors. So now, like, it's, when anything out in the public, it's, especially now, everyone's got a fucking opinion. So, you allow these people to come into your home and critique your every single move. So it's been tough, because obviously, all my shit has been well documented. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there is no privacy, even up to this day. There's no privacy. When I was single, when I was going through my divorce, when, I got into it with my teammate, like none of that shit is private.
You finally win a championship in 2017. Right? With Golden State. What I want to ask you is, being that Northern California and Southern California, you played for two of the biggest teams, the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. What's the difference? Because I know the culture is different. You got to play with Steph and you got to play with Kobe. What was the difference?
Nothing in the world like being a Laker. Period. Obviously, the Warriors have built a dynasty and a tradition that is, to me, second to none now. But excuse me, at the time, there's nothing like being a Laker. You know what I mean? I played for a handful of teams, and people talk about that Laker when they draft. Oh, you play for the Lakers, right? So to me, there's no bigger stage and no bigger platform, whether you're winning or losing, than being a Laker. I played for Golden State the first time around, and the second time around when I came back, it was just night and day. It was a new ownership group, and when I tell you, this was first class everything. The owners have it over in Golden State to where you worry about nothing but basketball. They take care of your family in every way possible. During the playoffs, they chartered a whole private jet for our families. We didn't have to pay shit. They pay for the hotels. They pay for their food. They pay for their flight. They take care of tickets. All you have to do as a Golden State Warrior is go out there and win, and everything else is taken care of. So I had never seen nothing like that. Not even the not even the Lakers had rolled out the red carpet for their players, like Golden State. And the product, you see what the product is. It's 4 championships in 8 years. The only thing that hurts me about that championship year was, I came in when KD got hurt, and was playing well. And then literally the first game KD came back, which was about a week before the playoffs, his first game back, I sprained my ankle, like worse than I've ever sprained my ankle. So I'm going into the playoffs with just a fucked up ankle. And by the time I feel any sort of, okay, I think I can do it, we're already 8-0 in the Western Conference Finals. So the only thing that I regret was, like, I was always someone, like I said, no matter what team, and even that Warrior team was true. Like, I went in there and I was playing 18 to 22 minutes a game. Like, I've always played. And the fact that, me being a vet and knowing that, in the playoffs, you go with what's working. And I was out the first 2 rounds, and now I'm finally feeling better in the Western Conference Finals. I just didn't really get to crack that main rotation, partly because I wasn't healthy, and then partly because you got to go with what's working.
Yeah.
So the only thing that really hurts me with that ring is that I don't feel like, obviously I feel like my body of work over my career,
Right.
I earned it.
Right.
But in the moment, like I would have
got
been the
you.
one out there guarding Kawhi. I would have been the
Right.
one out there guarding whoever,
Right.
whoever we were going to play. I would be one of the guys that were guarding the best player on the other team. And I just didn't get to do it with that team. So, obviously it was a blessing to be able to finally win a ring. But just, I personally didn't feel like I put I got the sweat equity in with this particular situation so that's why I don't really.
I'm a basketball fan. I hear it. It's also being hard though, because that season leading up, you did. I watched that season.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and without that, you don't even get there.
You're right. I mean,
Right.
I've always put in the work, but like
Mhm.
I'm just someone that's just like nothing's been handed to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, like that's why I don't call myself I'm a champ, or don't wear my ring, and I appreciate it. It's sitting in the box. And to me, the dopest part about that season was my kids got to come along for the journey, and the Golden State was so cool. They let my twins come on the plane, in practice, and the meetings, and the meals, on the championship stage. I got them both rings. Like you couldn't tell my kids they weren't on that team, and to me, that's something that's invaluable. You can't pay for. Like my kids we're in the Western Conference Finals, and my kids are having shootouts with Steph and KD after practice.
Wow.
Like you can't pay for that kind of experience. You know what I mean?
That's priceless.
So it's just exactly. So it's just like, to me, that was the best opportunity, and I'll always be grateful for Steve Kerr and that organization because they treat everybody like family, and I know that's something that my boys will never forget.
Yeah, that's dope. So I mean, once you get that, you finally get that, and then you transition to retiring. Then you become an ESPN analyst. And then now, coming up to now, you're doing the All the Smoke podcast. Which did you enjoy the most, being the analyst or being able to be your authentic self and be fluid?
I love both, to be honest with you, because although they're similar, they're different. ESPN is Disney, so there's a certain standard and line you kind of have to walk. And then obviously hats off to Showtime for just taking a chance on that idea. Like I pitched my idea to someone cold, no sizzle, no nothing. I told them I wanted to create a man cave environment where we could drink, smoke, and talk shit. Because I feel like without a camera, whether you're a celebrity or just a regular person, some of the best conversations you will ever hear happen in situations like that.
Real shit.
Where you're just with your homies, with your homies watching the game. Like, 'cause I feel like that. So that was the setting I wanted to create, and I pitched that. And they went with it. And 3.5 years later, we got plaques on the wall for it. You know what I mean? So not only has it been a blessing, but I really feel like it's just opened doors for other people.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like, LeBron and Steph and KD, these guys are superstars, and obviously they're going to succeed in whatever they do post business because of their reputation. But I was a role player, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm more attainable than those guys are. Like I'm more of a blue collar type, relatable person. Like shit, if Matt could do it, I could do it. Like that's how I want people to think, and that's really how I kind of pride myself in this space, is because coming in, and once I learned it, I'm just like, man, anybody could do this shit. And as we were talking about before, like for so long, other people have always told our stories, and now we have platforms to be able to tell our own stories and shed light and give our brothers and sisters platforms who have never got to tell their stories. So that's really what I take pride in, is just being able to open the doors and offer a platform and humanize our guests. Why, Steph is great, KD's great, Snoop is great, but what are they like when they're not? What are they like day to day? And I've been fortunate enough to like befriend these people and know what they're like, but I'm still a fan of my friends, which is crazy to say, but so I want to show our fans what that other side of them is, and I think that's why we've been so successful. Is we create a safe environment. Like we're not in a day and age where the media, to me, has crossed the line way too much with the disrespect. Like we're not there for clickbait. We're not there. We don't want to go viral for the wrong moment. We want you to feel comfortable enough to come tell your story. Like, and my favorite thing is when people say like, well, shit, I never told no one this, but I'm just like, okay, dope. They feel comfortable enough to share shit that they would never really share. So, I think we've kind of blazed a path and opened up a door that has been a blessing, not only for us, but I think for a lot of other people. And it's been fun.
No, that's real, bro. That's hella fulfilling when you do that, because that's the same way that we created this platform. I get a kick out of sharing their testimony, and like you said, you want to humanize people, and then also creating a platform with integrity. That was the one thing that we wanted to do. We didn't want to sneak people. Like, we don't want to do no clown, corny shit, you know.
No, there's no alternative motives here.
Yeah.
You know, we really just want to sit, like, I would want to have it, like, whether we had these cameras or not, it would still be the same real conversation as if the cameras are there. And I think, like, so many people were able to capture that down like this. And you see Drink Champs and $1 Million Worth of Game and 85 South and Knuckleheads and even my little white homeboy, JJ Reddick. Like, there's such a dope space for all of us to kind of be able to show who we really are first and foremost, but then offer our folks these platforms to come tell their stories.
And one thing I love about your platform as well, which is what I try to do with this, like, when people ask me about this platform, I tell them it's Black excellence and nigga shit all in one. And I think being able to walk the line and being able, like you said, being able to operate in both worlds. That's one thing P used to always say about me. I can take court to the boardroom. I can take it to the project.
And that's important. Yeah. Because there's that's a gift that is not talked about often, because you have friends that you can't take certain places. I know I can't take you, man. But to have a motherfucker that can move in the same rooms with me like a shadow is dope.
Real shit.
You know what I mean? So that, I mean, that's definitely
be bilingual.
A blessing.
No. So I definitely appreciate your platform for that. I mean, you had, like, God damn, you had Snoop on there, Jamie Foxx, Steph Curry. I mean, you even had Kobe on there, you know. I mean, what is it like to get them and deal with them in a, you know, different capacity than you would, you know what I'm saying, on the court or in the club or something like that?
It's dope because you really get to know more, because unless you're like in a kind of a, I guess not necessarily an interview, but an interview format, like some of these questions you would never talk about. You kind of just talk about what's going on in the current moment, you know what I mean? So what I love is I'm learning more about the people I already admire and look up to. So I just think it's amazing. And, you know, to be able to, you know, have women like Carrie Champion and Jamel Hill and Jeannie Buss and Rachel Nichols, give Rachel Nichols her opportunity to kind of step back into the game after, you know, the situation she had with ESPN. So it's just, you know, to me, great conversation will always be wanted.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I love the opportunity to be able to provide it for people.
So I got a question. So you've had Legendary, but, like, because it's still such a successful platform, what's the dream still? Like, who's on your hit list of, like, guests for that show?
Well, we got my number. When I created this, there was one person I said I wanted to get, and it was Will Smith, and we got Will Smith.
Damn.
So, and that was just like 2 weeks ago. So obviously that's
dope.
Super back and forth with his team and our team to kind of figure out what the actual, but we went, you know, he invited us to his studios out in Calabasas, and when I tell you, this dude was transparent, we laughed, he cried, we talked shit. We went and saw his movie Emancipation, which is incredible. You know, shout out him and Antoine Fuqua for what they did with that. You guys make sure you check that out. But you know, to think that, like, yo, we got Will Smith.
Real shit.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, hope that episode will drop the beginning of next month. But obviously, you know, people like Magic Johnson, you know, LeBron. When LeBron sees me, I'm gonna come on your show. So I got to pin him down. I want to get Bron in there. Obviously, MJ.
Yeah.
We're working on MJ right now because we got a chance to do the NASCAR shit, and we're hanging out with his 2311 team. So to get MJ, you know, someone like Drake would be dope. You know, and there's a lot of Queen Latifah, you know, Beyonce. There's, you know, there's obviously people that you aspire or dream to have. But I just think if we continue to do the right thing, you know, those opportunities will keep coming our way.
For sure. I have to ask.
And he's building people up. He had Mozzie on. You know what I mean?
Oh, Mozzie's the homie. Come on, man.
Yeah.
He pulled up in a box. He pulled up in a box Chevy. I'm just like, this nigga really he's really him.
He pulled really up in a box Chevy.
Yeah, he really him.
I want to ask you something. I mean, you being in tune with hip hop, right? And we've had the loss of, you know, P&B Rock recently take off, you know, Mo 3, the list goes on, right? Nip, you know, who you had a relationship with. You know, what do you think that we could do better as a culture? I know you kind of spoke on Jack. You kind of disagreed with him about the whole checking in thing, right?
No, I agree with Jack.
You agreed with him?
No. Yeah, no, I agree with him. No, I think I've been in LA since '98 and got a chance to know the streets, both sides, and it's just not a game.
Yeah.
You know, and I think gangbang kind of came commercialized in like the mid 2000s where people were claiming red and blue and didn't really know the origin or the real meaning behind it.
Right.
And I was never, and I had teammates that were on that and throwing up this and throwing up that. And I'm just like, that's cool. I'm gonna fuck with you, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
Because I know this people are really dying off this shit. But it's just it's an unfortunate situation in LA in particular. Like there used to be kind of a little bit of a safe haven. There'd be some places where you didn't have to worry about getting ran up on, but now they're in Beverly Hills taking watches.
Absolutely.
And they're in the valley,
Yep.
running through houses. So it's just like, this shit is real. And I think people still think it's a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately in the P&B situation, where there's tapes after talking about, they'll never get me. You're not going to run up on me.
Right.
You know what's going to happen if
Right.
like there's people who are starving out here,
Yeah.
and they see chicken in the pot, they're going to come get it, and especially in these particular areas where you don't really know where you're at, whether you check in or have security, whatever the situation may be. So,
but let me ask you this though, man. I'm sorry not to cut you off, but I just want to push back on that a little bit. Do you really think, but I mean, sometimes I don't know that it's about the come up as much as it is about but the hate. I just don't want to see you with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think jealousy and envy is the root of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, the come up is just whether they want to sell what they rob off you
Right.
after. But the root, 100%,
Yeah.
the root is the jealousy and the envy.
Yeah.
I mean, because we live in a society where you see people, and that's what the misconception of social media, because a lot of the times you see people in these cars that aren't theirs, or these houses that they're renting, or the jewelry that, may be on loan or from a motherfucking jeweler, but people are flaunting it like it's theirs. And naturally, that's going to make people like, damn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, I think that's the beginning of it. I mean, it's not necessarily the colors or the street. It's the, you got it and I don't. You know what I mean? So, and to me, that's why you have to really be careful, because there's people that are out here that are really starving.
What do you think the solution could be?
I don't think there is a solution. You know what I mean? That, we talk about, we don't want to hear violence in rap music, and we're doing too much killing of our own, but to become, rappers rap about what they know.
Yeah.
Like, this is where they grew up. They knew about drugs. They knew about violence. They know about death.
Right.
They know about sex. And that's what they're rapping about, and they're getting a bunch of money to do it.
Right.
So how does that, we have to go back to, how do we change, how do we go back and change the redlining or the systemic rate? Like, to me, it's a huge, deeper problem, but it's just it's a vicious cycle, because like I said, when we first started, I liked the gangster side of rap.
I do too.
You talking about athletes rapping, like that shit wasn't for me.
Right.
Like, I like the gangster side of it. So there's always going to be an ear for that.
Right.
So how do you change that? Some of these, and Young Boy or whoever these, the top rappers are now, like, this is their life that they know, and they're rapping about it, and they're making a great living off it. But at the same time, they're causing other people to think like, shit, I need to do this. If that's what they're rapping about, I need to do that. So how does that ever really change?
But where do we draw the line? Because sometimes you have some of these successful rappers that get out of that circumstance that created the music, but they still perpetuate the bullshit.
Yeah.
So you're rich, you're out of the environment, yet you're still partaking in the bullshit.
Because I just think it's, it's that ego.
Yeah.
The ego of, I am, because if you ask anybody from the hood or from the streets, the goal is to get out.
Get out.
It's
I'm
not
from the
to-
hood.
yeah,
I come
exactly.
from all of that.
So it's not to stay in. So I think that's where some people get these lines blurred, because they'll make it and want to start getting on with it. And I'm just like, you made it though. Why? No,
that's
you
what
made
I
it.
be trying
like,
to figure
why,
out.
Why
bro.
are you trying to? If you
You
made it,
lean
if
more
you
into
made
the
it over,
bullshit.
if you made it over here, why are you trying to go back? Because
Exactly.
you ask anybody from here, they want to get where you're at.
Exactly.
So why would you make it and then go back to where they are or where you were from? So
right. I mean, imagine you and your journey, right? You wasn't gangbanging and shit when you would, but then you make it to the NBA, then all of a sudden you in the hood gangbanging,
and I want to start doing real
That's
heavy
crazy.
core drugs.
That's
like,
crazy,
that
bro.
that was never. I never did that because I never want. Like, I knew that was there's no happy ending with that.
Yeah.
There's no sitting back on the porch smoking a joint, watching my grandkids run around in the grass.
Real
like
shit.
there's no. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And being in that lifestyle, there isn't that. So.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is an answer, man. I just pray for everyone to stay safe and understand your surroundings and it's such an underestimated statement when you say, I want to be able to go out today and come home tonight.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So before I wrap up, bro, man, you have a very inspirational story, brother. I want to ask you some top fives though. I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick.
Okay.
Who's your top 5 point guard?
I don't want to give order. I'll just give 5.
Yeah. It don't have to be order.
Magic.
Yeah.
Steph. Isaiah. CP.
Uh-huh.
John Stockton.
Okay. I didn't see John Stockton coming. All right.
He was
That's
he
solid.
was a beast.
Yeah, that's solid. Top 5 dunkers.
Vince Carter. Vince Carter. Who else? Vince Carter was a high flyer. James White. You gotta look him up. High flyer. Stromile Swift. Look him up. Dominique Wilkins.
Yes. You got to say Dominique.
Who's the fifth?
No, Jordan?
MJ. Yeah. MJ. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 5 rappers.
Oh, I'm leaving Pac and Big out because to me they died too soon, but I think their greatness is unmatched. Jay-Z. Drake. Wayne. Snoop.
Got one slot left.
One.
I got Nas left.
Come on, you from Sac, bro.
I know.
Nobody from the north.
I ain't gonna speak on that part.
I mean, we got 40. We got Shore. I mean, there's a lot. This is just based off who I like to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. It's subjective. It's your shit.
Rick Ross.
Oh, that you?
Yeah,
He's a Rick Ross fan.
Yeah. You know, I fuck with Rick Ross.
Ross is tough.
Real shit. Yeah,
Ross
I don't think
tough.
he gets his credit for his lyrical
he be writing
prowess.
for a lot of people's favorite rappers. He be writing for them too.
Yeah, no, real shit. You know, so a lot of people don't really recognize you for your, or maybe they do, for your business acumen, the things that you have done outside of the NBA and the different businesses and shit like that. What do you have going now?
Right now, my main focus is content creation and continuing to build content. I have a partnership with ESPN. I'm about to announce my new partnership with the NBPA, with the Players Association, to create content for them.
Nice, congratulations.
Working with the Sacramento Kings, working with the LA Clippers on their new streaming service, Baller Vision, through shout out Steve Ballmer. ESPN. So like the content thing is really my thing, but just businesses. I have a cannabis business called Seven Leaves. The top black flower business in LA called Old Vine Flowers. We take care of all the.
Is that a growing situation?
Yeah, okay. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah. We're blessed to kind of be in those rooms with the black flower business. We've actually even created a fragrance off that. What else? A fresh press juice company. What else? Invested in some tech. So I just try to stay diversified when it comes to business. But really my main focus is just content creation. Obviously, starting stuff with my kids. They have the Barnes Boys podcast season 2.
Nice. On Showtime as well?
No, it's not, but it's with the same production company as my podcast. But just I just think content. I mean, to tell stories, create stories, giving people a platform. I'm trying to tell the J.R. Ryder story, but he keeps he's so busy, but his story is incredible. But just being able to tell people I look up to and admire and love, being able to give them a platform to tell their stories, I think is really what I was made to do post career. Obviously, being able to invest in stuff and have stuff is great, but I just love giving people an opportunity.
You were doing Suge Knight. You had his life rights at the time, right?
And Huey.
Yeah. And Huey.
Yeah. So I'll start with Huey. So Huey was brought to me, and it was a perfect time. And the guys that brought Huey to me were just really stubborn on who was going to write it and how was it going to be presented. And with all due respect to them, I told them, I'm just like, when this project goes out, my name is going to be on it. You know what I mean? And with all due respect, even though you guys did it, like it's my name. And like I was really into the Huey movement. So I went and met with Ryan Coogler, who was the homie. He took me to his grandmother's house. They used to, they had their first rallies in her crib, and they gave the free lunches to the school right across the street. The first stop sign, the first stoplight. Like, I really dug into this shit. And I went back and told the dudes I was working with, like, the script we have right now to me is not strong enough, but I have an inline, with some people that really want to help. And they were just really stubborn on, well, my boy wrote this and I think it should be this, I think it should be that. So unfortunately, I had to step away from that, and that was maybe like 5 years ago, and it still hasn't gone anywhere. So I was disappointed about that because I really wanted that to happen. And then the Suge Knight story, man, I thought we had something. So I went.
You met with Suge directly?
Yeah. So via phone, he was and he's still in jail. So, but I went to school with a girl named Dorothy Canton at UCLA, and her dad is Mark Canton, who created Power. So I was with DeAndre Jordan out one night in the club in LA, and this little, just super unassuming little white chick sits next to me, and she's like, "Hey, Matt." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" "We went to school together." I was like, "Okay, where are you?" You said, "Cool. My grandfather's Dr. Feinerman." I was like, "Oh shit, Dr. Feinerman. Yeah, I know Dr. Feinerman." And so we just kind of start talking. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, we just wrapped season 2. I'm like, "Season 2 of what?" She's like, "Power." I'm like, It's like, "Yeah, my dad created Power." I was like, "What the fuck?" She's like, "Yeah, my dad's Mark Canton." I'm like, "Oh shit." Yo, that shit is dope. I'm a huge fan. Whoa.
Yeah.
So I was out in New York doing something, but they were started filming again. So I sat down with Dorothy and Mark, and I forgot the other person's name, and I pitched them this Suge idea. And they're just like, "What? Like, you have his right, you have his permission, like he wants to do it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." So we start the back and forth, and when it really got time for him to like sign, and money started being asked, like ridiculous amounts of money started being asked for, and people started calling up saying that, that they needed this and they needed that, and the situation was just too, I wouldn't say too hot. It just wasn't, to me, stable enough to move forward with people that were really ready to do the story.
Right. Because he sold the rights to a few different people, right?
Oh man, all kinds of people. Those are mine. This is mine. You got to go through me. And I'm just like, listen, man, I'm not trying to do all this shit. All I want to do is tell the story.
Was Whack 100 mixed up in there?
Whack. I actually got on the phone with Whack and Suge at the same time about it, and Whack was involved at one point. And to me, it just got, for me to put my name out there for this and have such a credible group who has a track record of making hit shows.
Right.
I didn't want to put my name out there if I couldn't really deliver what I said I was going to deliver. So unfortunately, I had to step back away from that too.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, it was really, literally, the Suge Knight story was going to be done by the people who made Power, and it fell through the cracks.
Damn. Well, hopefully we can still see that, because he has a great,
interesting.
Well,
you saw, I just saw yesterday that didn't Snoop just sign with someone to do his story. It was just, I think I screenshotted it.
It wasn't Wilhelmina. It was one of those talent agencies.
It was Universal.
Okay.
And then they actually said who was going to direct it to. It wasn't the Hughes brothers. It was someone else. But they got someone big to direct it to.
Nice.
But I think, you came. I can't wait for someone to. I think is Deion Taylor doing P's story?
Yeah. King of the South.
So Deion's the home. Deion's up in Sac.
Yep.
Deion and Roxanne are family. So but I think this is just. These people are pioneers for us,
for sure,
in this space, and to really be able to let them tell their stories with obviously a help of a big, big production. I think it's beautiful.
Will we ever see a Matt Barnes story?
Maybe a book. I think I have such an interesting story that people would kind of understand why I am the way I am today.
Yeah.
And obviously we touched on a little bit today, but I definitely think at some point, we'll probably do a book. I don't know about a story, but a book.
Yeah, but if you do the book, then you can do the.
Well, I have a doc coming out. Revolution, where it's just athletes that are kind of stepping outside of their sport or whatever they do, and what they do out of that. So I'm doing that. So I had a couple, and I was trying to tell the story about the high school shit that happened to me too. So, there's some things that we have cooking. So we'll see.
Last question, brother. And this just came off the top of my dome. You made a lot of money in the NBA. And being able to, a lot of athletes and people with money, period, they fall off. What advice would you give to any young athlete, young entertainer to be able to sustain life after their perspective?
Well, I think financial literacy wasn't, when I first came in the league, there was no conversation on financial literacy. Right. And by the time I left, the locker room talk is, what are you investing in? Did you see this opportunity? I got a meeting with so-and-so. Like, the shit had completely flipped upside down. So I don't think you'll see this generation with as many people who've kind of fall off financially as we saw and during my time. And really, even in my first 5 or 6 years, I was red light at the end every summer. You know what I mean? Because I didn't come from any kind of foundation where I knew how to save, invest, I knew that kind of shit. So I had to learn through trial and error. And I think the thing that saved me was having kids, realizing it's just not about me no more. You know, hopefully my kids get scholarships, but if not, we got to be good regardless. So kids, I think, are what kind of saved me and were my North Star. But, for young athletes now, it's cool to talk about financial literacy, which I think is dope, and investment opportunities are there left and right. So I think the fact that conversation is cool is going to help a lot of these young athletes move forward. Because again, we were talking about women, cars, jewelries, and houses when we were really getting our money. But now that's not the conversation, which is a blessing. So just be smart, invest. There's a lot of opportunities to invest. Make sure you trust the people that, are investing your money and learn it. I was someone that never, let me just throw money over here. Like, I want to learn it. You know, if I'm gonna put my name on it, I got to learn it. It's got to really represent me. And I'm to the position now where, I can turn down deals because although they may be great for someone, they're not great for me. They don't represent the brand or what I'm about. So I've come a long way in that space. But just for younger people, just understand, man, that there's more money out there now, but just be smart with it and invest and play the long game. You know, obviously you want to be able to enjoy what you've worked for, but don't blow it.
Right. That's a message, brother. Anything you want to tell the people, bro, before we sign
No, man,
off?
just stay blessed and stay safe. It's like a war zone out there right now, man. And me, I be trying to just stay out the way and raise my kids and work. And it's just sad that you can't really just go out and have fun no more. Which is because we had our fun and we didn't have to worry about we did, but we didn't. It didn't happen. We didn't have to worry about getting robbed or shot or all that kind of shit. But now it's just like you really risking your life every time you go out. So it's just like I would just wish that, I don't know what it could be, but something could happen to just calm it down, man, because it's scary, and especially someone who has two young teenagers that are heading in growing up. So it's just sending peace and love, man, to everyone I know.
Well, man, listen, that's a word, bro. Man, we appreciate you coming, man. We want to give you your flowers, bro.
Appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? And we appreciate what you're doing. I totally appreciate what you're doing, especially in the content creation space.
Thank you.
I look at you as one of the guys that's spearheading this whole movement of podcasting. And so I definitely look to you, for what you're doing and take notes, what I mean? So
we all learn from each other, man. We're all learning from each other. So that's a good thing. Like I said, they're finally allowing us to tell our stories. I think our goal is, once we got our foot in the door, we got to let everybody else in now, because they've always just kind of taken from us. Now we can come back and tell our own and create our own,
and we can own our own,
own our own, and set our kids up and all the things that we've been behind the 8 ball before, but now we're in front of it. So let's continue to do it.
All right. Hey, well, that's Matt Barnes, man. I appreciate you, my brother. Salute. That's Big Court. Producer Ken on the Holdin Court Podcast, man. We out of here. We see y'all next time.
I'm holding court, standing trial. Why ain't I see you round back when I was down? Karma's on the way. What goes around comes around. Karma's on the way. There's nothing you could do now. You gotta pay.